What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, and in this video I'm going to be explaining the true story behind Jordan Belfort and his Stratton Oakmont company from the widely known movie Wolf of Wall Street and what exactly happened in the 1980s. 3 hours long, and it's a complete documentary of what sort of went on back in the 1980s with Stratton Oakmont, what was going on with this company selling stocks to and scamming people off of them. So it just sort of goes it's sort of like a little snippet of what actually went down back then. Jordan Belfort, or Danny Porush, which was Jordan Belfort's partner, he actually said that the movie is a far relative from the book, and the book is a far relative from the truth. There's a lot of details that are left out in the movie, but I've done a lot of research on my own, so I'm going to be giving you guys exactly what I have learned and what I have concluded about what actually went on. So Jordan Belfort started off selling meat and seafood until this company eventually just came down and went out of business. And then after that, in 1987, Jordan began selling stocks as a stockbroker for LF Rothschild. This is the part in the movie where he meets Matthew McConaughey and he gives him all the secrets of being a successful stockbroker. And if you guys have seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the 3 keys to becoming successful on Wall Street.
You're able to during the day and still function, still do your job. Right.
Now for this video, hopefully it will be monetized sometime in the future, so I don't want to go over, break any YouTube regulations, say anything I'm not supposed to. So I'm going to just sort of leave out the exclusive details. I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about though. So this is where he meets Matthew McConaughey, gives him the 3 keys to being a successful broker on Wall Street. And this is really what just opens up Jordan's mind to how business is done on Wall Street and what he needs to start doing in order to be successful. And as shown in the movie, he is laid off by them in 1987 after Black Monday. So that part is true to the real story.
They called it Black Monday. By 4 p.m., the market had dropped 508 points. The biggest plummet since the crash of '29.
Shortly in 1989, Jordan Belfort and Danny Porush, who is played by Jonah Hill, which is Donnie Azoff in the movie. So Jordan and Danny Porush founded their own brokerage firm, Stratton Oakmont, and this company was a over-the-counter firm. So what they did is they sold over-the-counter stocks instead of the big blue chip stocks that you're familiar with. They sold the penny stocks off the pink sheets, and so these stocks were a lot more manipulative. They had a lot lower volumes. I'm going to be going into how that worked and what happened a little bit in the future.
So, where are your Quotrons?
Quotrons?
Yeah, computers.
No, we don't even need computers here. We just trade right off the pink sheets here.
Pink sheets?
Yeah, they're penny stocks. You know, companies that can't get listed on NASDAQ, they don't have enough capital, their shares trade here.
Penny stocks? 6 cents a share? Come on. Who buys this crap?
Well, I mean, honestly, mostly schmucks. Postmen, there's always postmen. Right. Plumbers.
I just want to ask you guys right now, if you do find yourself enjoying this video, if you wouldn't mind just hitting that like button up here for me, it would really mean a lot to me. And that subscribe button should be down on one of these ends if you are interested. So get that out of the way. And if you guys do want to stay tuned to the end of this video, I'm going to be giving some awesome fun facts about what actually is true to the story, some of the crazy stories that Jordan says, which ones are true, which ones are a little far from the truth. So stay tuned, stick around to the end for that. Let's keep going. So getting back to Stratton Oakmont, they were an over-the-counter firm, which means that they weren't regulated very much. These stocks were really under the radar. You know, nobody was buying them. They're really crappy companies. So they mostly sold over-the-counter stocks, which is where they made their huge 50% commissions, as seen earlier on in the movie. But that's not how they ended up making all their money. What they ended up making their money is by the stock market manipulation. So Stratton Oakmont ended up taking 35 different companies public, including the notorious Steve Madden IPO, which that's in the movie as well. So Steve Madden IPO, you know, this was huge. They ended up making a ton of money and profiting off this. And Steve Madden actually, in the end, he ended up getting in trouble as well with Jordan and Danny. So what they actually did to get in trouble and what was breaking the law is the pump and dump scheme, right? So we all know what the pump and dump is, hopefully. So a pump and dump essentially is where you find a stock with a very low trading volume, which means very many people are buying it and selling it throughout a time period, such as just a day. So you find a company like this with a very low stock price where you can entice investors who want to get rich, right? You tell them it's only 2 cents. You know, if it goes up to 10 cents, you'll make 5 times your money. So you find something like that, and then they just started selling this to everyone. And they were just cramming it down people's throats. From what I concluded from researching this, they were just high pressure sales tactics and just forcing this down everyone's throat. And what they secretly did is they secretly bought a bunch of shares first, so they owned a lot of the company, right? So they have a high percent ownership of the company, and then they start shoving it down people's throat, which artificially drives the share price up to ridiculous levels. Once it hits the top, that's when they start unloading all their shares, and that all that selling triggers a massive sell-off, which then drops the price dramatically, leaving everyone else that they pumped up and forced the stock on with empty pockets. Another thing that I learned from research is that they actually refused to process some sell orders in order to keep the price artificially inflated. So let's say they forced you to buy this company and you were trying to sell, right? You saw it just started shooting up, think you're going to get rich, you know? So they wouldn't let you actually sell the stock. They wouldn't process the order, you know, until they finished selling all their shares, and then they'd let you share, and then you're left at the bottom, right? No profits for you. So Stratton Oakmont at their peak had over 1,300 employees. And if that doesn't sound like a lot to you, this is one building in Wall Street, 1,300 employees, 1,300 people trying to scam you out of your money and take your money from you. So, I mean, that's pretty ridiculous to me. That's a lot of people that are trying to take your money from you, especially, you know, on Wall Street. There's not too many big firms up there. So that's a little scary thought that back in the 80s, there was a high percentage chance that someone you knew or that you would have known someone that had been a victim of this scheme. Now, Stratton Oakmont made a ton of money. Wikipedia estimated it to be at $3 billion worth of gross revenue. So with all this money, Jordan Belfort and Danny Porush, they ended up hiding their money offshore overseas through Jordan's wife, which was the Duchess. And this is basically what the money laundering charge was for, is laundering all their money overseas, keeping it offshore. They ended up getting popped for that too. So it didn't work out for the end, but at least you tried, you know, give him the participation badge, and I'm sure he's got some money still somewhere. So Jordan Belfort and Danny Porush, you know, they were young guys back in the day, so whenever they owned this company, you know, they were given these insane pep rallies.
Are you behind on your credit card bills? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing. Is your landlord ready to evict you? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
You know, they were paying for women to come to the office during parties. They were tossing midgets around. These are all true stories that I found from researching. They did, in fact, have all that. And if you have seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But these young guys, you know, they were just making a ton of noise on Wall Street, which led the feds curious about what was going on.
I mean, honestly, what is it that you think that we did or do? I don't get it.
They began being investigated in 1989 and eventually got shut down in 1996. In 1999, Belfort and Porush were both indicted for securities fraud, money laundering, and they pled guilty. They ended up ratting on a lot of their other co-workers and co-founders and to ultimately get a reduced sentence. And this plea deal landed Belfort 22 months in a federal prison, which was supposed to be 4 years, so 48 months. So he served a little less than half of the entire sentence. Belfort was also ordered to pay $110.4 million in restitution charges, but they say that about $97 million of this is still not been paid yet. So Belfort lacking a little bit on paying back everyone that he scammed. And there's a bit of a gray area about where his income is now. You know, he's written a book. I think he's written 2 books actually about it. And you know, the Wolf of Wall Street movie. So he says that he's taken big cuts of that money. All the royalties are going back to his victims of this and restitution charges. But you know, this is still a big gray area about what his net worth is and how much he owes. You can see this quote here. He says that he's not gonna feel better about it till everyone's got their money back. You know, just be better for everyone is basically what this says, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so a lot of this is still unpaid, and no one knows how much he's actually making in a year or his true net worth. So this is all just a big gray area. He also does motivational speeches all around, so who knows how much money he's actually making from those guys. And a quick fun story real quick. This past Halloween, I actually dressed up as Jordan Belfort for a Halloween party. I'll put a picture up right here. There's me and a couple of my buddies at a Halloween party. So this movie had a huge influence on me. You know, Jordan did do a lot of things wrong, but I do have to hand it to the guy. He did whatever he had to do in order to make it to the top, and that he did. Although he was scamming people out of their money, he did it because that was his true dream, was to just get rich, which ended up coming true. But then, like, the chain of reaction of events that happened after. But again, like, the ride was crazy. Looked like it was a ton of fun though while they were doing it. From what I concluded from like their office parties, they sound like pretty off the hook, but again, not a good idea if you would have been working for these guys. would have been, you probably would have ended up in a lot of federal charges, maybe even some jail time. But all in all, this movie inspired me in so many ways. Just if you have dreams, just follow them and do whatever it takes to get there. So those are the positives I can take out of the movie. And other than the fact that it's just incredibly entertaining and fun to watch, even though it's 3 hours long, you know, it's a great movie to watch. It's great about Wall Street and investing, about how there's so many financial gurus out there that are just out there to take your money and scam you. You can learn a lot from this movie. So all in all, I just absolutely love the movie. I watched it for the first time back when I was in 8th grade. It was on Amazon Prime Video. I watched it because the title looked cool, and you know, Wall Street. Been interested in Wall Street for a long time, so watched the movie, and yeah, I just loved it all in all together. Now, the part you guys have been waiting for, some of the true stories that actually happened in the movie that happened in real life. They were hiring women to the office parties and paying with them with company money, and not just that, they were writing them off on their taxes as well. So I think that's hilarious. I don't know, that's pretty funny to me. Forbes did indeed call him the twisted Robin Hood, you know, stealing from the wealthy and giving to himself. He was driving on the, although it was not a Lamborghini, it was a Mercedes-Benz. As I said earlier, they did toss midgets at their company parties as well, so that part in the opening scene of the movie is true as well. He was under the influence and crashed his helicopter in his front yard. He did sink his yacht in Italy, and he actually has a video on YouTube where it's like the full explanation of the yacht story, which is really cool. You get to hear his voice. He narrates the entire story of what went down on the yacht and how they sunk it and got rescued and all that. So if you guys are interested, I would highly recommend checking that out. It's super fun to listen to. Danny Porush, so Donnie Azoff in the movie, played by Jonah Hill. Danny in real life did actually marry his cousin, so that's true. These guys were absolutely crazy back in their day. They ended up serving their time. I think that it'd be better, you know, if they did pay all the restitution back, which who knows if that's actually going to happen. I think that'd be good for them to see the whole turnaround of these characters and their development. You know, things went crazy. Also, when they started making a ton of money in the stock market, scamming people, and then things went awful when they got in trouble with the law, and then, you know, it'd be awesome to see it go back up again after paying everyone back and making their wrongs right again. So that's about all I have for this video. This was a pretty quick explanation. Maybe I'll go a little more in depth in a future video. If that is something you guys would be interested in, just let me know down below in the comments. Like this video, subscribe as I already said, and I think there should be a couple more of my videos over here if you guys want to check those out, and then you can hit this button right here if you want to subscribe to me for more. Thank you. I'll see you next time.